everyone, just first of all going in with my Urban Decay Primer Potion. I'm using my ring finger to blend this all over my eyelid. The warmth from my finger will assist to blend out the cream product. Going in with my Australis press powder and my dirty brush to set that over the top, making it a nice setting before I go in with my eyeshadows soon. Now using the Nivea Post Shave Balm as my primer, only using a little bit to blend that all over my face. I'm not 100% sure how I feel about using this as a primer yet. I have a feeling it may break me out, so I'll need to do a little bit of testing before I make my decision. Going in with the Steel Soul palette. It's not the only palette I'm using for this look. I'm using that colour there, that brown colour. To blend into my crease with my Sigma E40 brush, as you can see there. This colour I'm using as a transition colour, which will assist for when I go in with darker colours shortly. Then I go in with my Napoleon 10R brush, using a shade from this palette. That's actually a blush. And I'm just going in with that colour and blending that in my crease. This brush is a little bit more defined, so it will just make that part of my eye in that crease there look a little bit darker and bring a little bit more depth to the look. From that same palette, going in with a very dark, well, not very dark, but a much darker brown shade, and I'm patting that on the outer V only. That's just with a little short flat shader brush, just patting that onto the outer V, and then once I've deposited the colour in the very outer corner, I'll use the brush to pat it out to distribute lesser product over the rest of my eye. I'm actually going in with the exact same shade and the exact same brush here and just kind of etching a little bit more of the darker powder into my crease there. This shade here is really lovely. It's like a metallic-y type, it's got like a metallic-y type finish to it. And I'm just using my Gloss Stubby blending brush to blend out the shade I just put on. I'm using a very light hand with this because the bristles are dense. If I don't use a light hand, it will kind of distribute a lot of colour. So I'm just using a light hand there, going back in with that transition shade and that Napoleon 10R brush just to further blend that out because I want it to look a little bit seamless and not with harsh lines. So that's just what I'm doing there, blending it out. Get a bit of a close-up there. You can kind of see how it's coming along, see how it's darker on the outer V, but kind of fades up into the rest of my eye space, I guess you'd call it. Just a little bit close up, there you go. Using that top colour from the Steel Soul palette, and I'm packing this with my Elizabeth Arden Eye 2 brush just onto my lid. This is quite a nice creamy, shimmery, reflective shade. It's really pretty. It's similar to Kitten, but less intense on the highlight spectrum. So just a little bit more subtle, but it's really nice. And if this comes in a bigger form, it would make a beautiful highlight, I think. So I'm just using that brush to pat that on my eyelid. That's Kitten there that I'm putting on my finger, and you'll see how much more intense that is when I put it on my lid. And I'm placing that in the center of my lid and, well, placing the majority of the product in the center of my lid and using my finger to just tap around the outskirts of that to blend it in. But putting it on the center like that means that it will catch the light if you happen to be under lighting, and just make it look a bit more prominent in the center of my eye, which may help with making my eyes look a bit larger. Then with no extra product, just using that Napoleon 10R brush to blend just at the top there in the crease. And going in with not the black. I didn't use any black shadow colours in this look, just going in with the darkest brown shade, and this is going to be my eyeliner for the night. So there's no liquid eyeliner, no gel eyeliner. I'm just using a Models Prefer angle brush, and I'm dipping in the dark powder and I'm pressing it onto my lash line where I would apply my liquid liner. Then, using that exact same shade, that dark brown, I'm etching that into my crease and on my outer V. You can kind of see there it's significantly darker than my other eye. So I just want to make it a little bit more prominent in that very outer V. So that's what I'm doing there. Using a dark brown shade from the second palette that I had, I am going to, when I get my act together, etch that into the outer V to assist with blending out that dark shade that I had. So it is a little bit involved. There are different steps and shades to be used, but it does kind of, building up to dark is a tad easier than kind of going in with a dark shade and having to try and break it down. So just using that stubby brush again to blend it out, then retouching with Kitten in the center because I did lose a little bit of colour as I was blending so much. So just going over that there, as you can see. And you can see just how beautiful and shiny that is and how nice it catches the light right on the center of my lid. Such a stunning colour. Yep, I'm happy with that. Going back in with that first shade that I was rambling on about, I'm using that to highlight my brow bone. It's still very shimmery. It's still going to give a nice effect. It's just not as highlighting as the Kitten shade on my eyelid because I kind of wanted my eyelids to be the prominent part of this look. This is just my eyelash glue and I'm squeezing a dollop onto my knuckle, and then I use tweezers to hold onto the lash to roll that over the glue. That's my lash there. I've trimmed it down to fit my eye. I trimmed it like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters too small, so it is actually a little bit short for my actual eye size, but we make it work because that's what we do. And just lining that up from the outer corner, and then I use the tweezers to very carefully and very gently pinch the false lashes with my real lashes. And if you're not careful, you can pinch your skin and it hurts and your eyes water and the water loosens the glue and the eyelashes fall off, so just be careful. That's my MAC, I think it's Smolder eye kohl pencil, and I'm just running that along my waterline, then going with my favourite mascara at the minute, which is the Urban Decay Perversion. That's like a little wee like a tester bottle that I was given, and I absolutely love it. The wand on that I'm very impressed with. Going in with a little bit of my Lumi Magique from L'Oreal, only a little bit because it is a luminous, and then this Revlon Colour Stay, or is it called Revlon something? Revlon Photo Ready, that's what it is. You know when you press it and not enough comes out, and then you press it and too much comes out? That's what I was experiencing. Just dotting that on my Sigma F80 brush, and then looking grumpy and popping that onto my face, just in dots such as that, before I go in to blend it all out. This will be quite a decent coverage foundation, which is what I would want for my ball or prom, if that's what you're using this makeup tutorial for. Even if you're not and you're using it for anything else, that's fine. Absolutely fine. There's no rules when it comes to makeup. You can wear whatever you want, wherever you want, whenever you want, however you want. This is awesome. This is by Napoleon. It's a orange creamy concealer, and this covers dark circles immensely. I didn't necessarily need it at this time, but I thought I'd include it for anyone that does, have a little bit of trouble with concealing dark circles. This stuff is amazing. It cost me $40 odd. It works a gem. I pat that in with my finger, and I didn't include the footage, but I blended it out with a stippling brush, which you'll see shortly. Going in with my MAC concealer, that's the brush I used to blend out the orange concealer. Tapping that on where I want it, so under my eyes for a highlight, down my nose for a highlight, on my forehead for a highlight, and on my chin. So this works as a very full coverage concealer, but because it is drastically lighter than my foundation, it will work as a highlight also. So this brush is by Napoleon. I think it might be called like a sculpting brush, but it's a duo fibered one. Yes, it's dirty. Yes, I do need to wash my makeup brushes. Yes, I will do it. Never. Because I just don't, but I should. But I do wash them before clients. I just don't wash them as often as I should, really. So just using that to stipple all over that concealer to set it into my foundation. And those spots I've put the concealer will bring, because it's lighter, it'll bring those parts of my face forward. So giving it that highlight effect. So just running that up my nose, blending it out on my forehead, then going with my MAC, I think it's a skin finish in the shade Light. This is a full coverage foundation, or a full coverage powder, and I'm using my flat shader brush to to press that into my MAC concealer. And that's just to set it in place so it doesn't move around for the night. And these two MAC products, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Very happy with them, long lasting, long wearing, thick, full coverage, and just look lovely. I am quite a fan of MAC products, that's for sure. So that's what I'm doing there, just pressing it into the skin, over my chin area, blending it out a little bit, and then I run it down, over my forehead, and then I do take it down my nose, making sure I set all the places I highlighted with. This is just another Australis press powder, going in with my No Name Kmart brush and just kind of swiveling it and blending that in all the areas where I didn't put the light powder. I have to actually slow myself down when I do these voiceovers because otherwise it gets jumbly and you guys don't know what I'm saying. And I will kind of blend that over the light part just to make it kind of blend better. Going in with Hoola by this weird brush by a brand called PUPA. So I assume it's called Pupa. I don't know. Yeah, I've had this brush for a long time. And I'm just using that to kind of, I guess, what's the word? Blend? Not really blending. I'm just kind of, I don't know, rubbing or pressing, or don't know what word to use. Putting that in under my cheekbones. Then going in with this nude bronzer with my MAC 187 brush to slightly blend over that and then blend around the top of my forehead to give a little bit of bronze. Because I'm using my laptop, the lighting isn't amazing, so this bronzer actually did match my false tan pretty well. Right now my face looks a lot lighter than my body. I did do quite a broad highlight, which is why, but also the lighting's not unreal. I'm using those two blushes mixed together on my cheeks. I'm not swirling the blush on the apples of my cheeks. As you can see, I'm running it just above the contour that I did. I'm kind of keeping it at the back, I guess you could call it, of my face, as opposed to swirling it on the apples of my cheeks. I can't think of the word that I want to use, but I do that for, I guess, a bit more of a elegant look, or a bit more of a, I don't know, I feel it just gives a different look, almost like sexy. I'm not sure. Nah, definitely not sexy, but just, I don't know, elegant, and I like it. This is a nude highlighter using my Real Techniques brush, and I'm putting that on the very top of my cheekbones to bring some light to that area. It's quite a nice shade actually. Then you'll see me run it down the tip of my nose, and then I'll also do it in the bridge, because before I even put it on you could see those parts of my face were kind of brought forward. Now I'm going in with Soft and Gentle by MAC just over the top because I was going for quite a highlighted look over the exact same areas. And like I said, this will just bring those parts of your face forward. This is by Models Prefer. It's actually an eyebrow defining brush that you use kind of as a brow sculptor, but I'm going to put it in my waterline. It's like a pearlescent shade. It's quite nice. Now I'm using that Models Prefer angle brush, and the shades that I've already shown you. This is a dark brown that I'm running under my waterline from the outer corner to 3/4 of the way in on my lower lash line. So not all the way in, just about 3/4 in. Just like that. Then using my Napoleon 10R brush again, I'm going in with the light brown shade that I used as my transition, and I'm running that underneath to blend it out. Going back in with my Urban Decay Perversion mascara and putting a little bit of mascara on those lashes just to make them defined. Just to go over them, just so you know that they are there and don't blend in with the rest of my face. This is Stripped Down by MAC, outlining my lips with this, overdrawing them a little bit, but nothing too crazy. More so just to kind of even it out, really, than overdraw. That's what that was. Then going in with Cream Cup by MAC with a cream sheen finish. Going over my lips and then blending together, mushing it all around so it all blends nicely, just like that. One more layer. And then using this lip gloss by MAC, it's a very, very, very shiny gloss. Using this to top off on my lips, and that will just kind of keep my lips looking plump and full. Spreading that everywhere. Cool. And this here is the finished look. I base this look around a more neutral ball makeup look, or prom if you are in America. But yeah, you guys can use this look for anything you like. Like I said, there's no rules. So thank you so much for watching. Take care.